Okay, well, let's get the vitals out of the way. First, what are the names on the birth certificates?
Oh, like my real official?
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I mean, this is my real name by law, but now, Hilary Claire Tompkins.
Okay.
And I'm named after Hilda and Clarence Tompkins, my dad's parents. Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
What about you, Stuart?
Stuart Frederick Adamson. Frederick was my grandfather's name on my dad's side.
Okay.
And Stuart was just a name that, I was almost Scott, but
Almost,
they decided on Stuart.
Yeah. Yeah, it was almost Sherry. Okay.
I was almost Daisy. I grew up with Daisy Dukes around, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow. I'd be wearing short shorts. And really dark pantyhose.
Right. Uh-huh. And places, where were you born?
I was actually born in La Crosse, Wisconsin. When people ask where I'm from, I say a jalapeno cheesehead. And then if you want to know more, I can explain it. But my family lived in Minnesota, but the nearest hospital was across the bridge, the Mississippi, in La Crosse. And I come from a long line of Minnesotan farmers, actually. And my dad moved me to Texas when I was just 5. So I've grown up here, but my extended family are up there. So we actually tour there every year.
I like that. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I'm from all over.
So where were you born,
I was
Stuart?
born in Asheville, North Carolina.
Isn't that a great town?
It is a beautiful town. Dad was born in Waxahachie and raised in Abilene. And Mom was born and raised in San Antonio. Older brother and sister born in Houston. Younger sister and I born in North Carolina.
Oh,
He would have been a 5th generation Texan, but oh well.
Yeah, and my parents moved back to Texas when I was 6.
Okay. And now, the two of you have something in common with Bill and I, Bill and me. We met, all of us, you guys met at the Kerrville Folk Festival, as did we. So tell us about how your meeting. So.
This is how I remember it.
This is one version.
Yeah, actually, I think she actually didn't remember the first time we actually met there. I mean, it was still during that same festival.
Uh-huh.
But
So I was sitting at Camp Inertia getting a guitar lesson from my friend Candace Kuntz, and then who was the other person there?
I can't think of his name.
Anyways, another
I'll think
artist
of
who
it.
had just walked off main stage. He's a real cool guy, and I was just there for song school. I bought a guitar just because I played piano, but they're really hard to carry around. And my whole goal was to not be afraid to completely suck out loud, because I didn't play guitar. I was writing songs and singing to my dog, and I thought, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it now. So I went to song school and for the daytime, and then in the afternoons, I would memorize what I saw other people do on their instrument. And like Lloyd Maines and Terry Hendricks, who are now friends of ours, they were showing a girl a D and a G chord. So I went to my tent and I wrote a G and a D chord song and then presented it the next day. It was not stellar. But my goal wasn't to be great. It was just to get out there and do it. So I was taking a guitar lesson, and this guy walks up and he's like, "Let's jam." And I'm like, "Oh my God, like, I don't know how to play." And so my friend just whispers in my ear, she goes, it was Drew Nelson, that's who's there. And she whispers, they both whisper in my ear, they go, "Just copy that D and the G chord, and then just pretend to play everything else." So I did that. And then I was last in the song circle, so they got to me, and so I flipped my guitar over, and I played percussion and did a song I had written at home.
You. Yeah.
Guitarless. Anyway, Stuart remembered that and was looking for a harmony singer, and now I got a husband, a new career, playing music, and all that jazz. So, who knew, Kerrville?
Well, actually, when we kind of got to know each other was one of those late night where it just pours down rain at Kerrville.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
And we were at Camp Cabana, and there was a bunch of us, Flash and a bunch of other people, just hanging out until the sun came up.
Yep.
Just having a great
Waiting
time.
out the rain.
Yep. So that's how we met, and then this led to that.
Yeah. Okay, so I love the story about Flyin A's.
Oh, when we first got together, we were Tompkins and Adamson. We were our own artists, and we were playing together. And we tried to get a gig at Pootie's Hilltop. Pootie is Willie Nelson's longtime road manager. He was at the time. And he calls me from the golf course and he goes, Hilary, I'm going to be honest. We've been talking this over the golf game. We really like your music. We think you guys are great. But Tompkins and Adamson sounds way too much like a law firm. So the only way I'm going to book you is if y'all will play as T&A.
That's a true story.
And I told her, I'm like, we got to think of a new name.
And it's what it said on the marquee, too.
T&A. I stayed fully clothed the entire time. We still did fine, but that kind of frightened me. There's lots of ways you could think of TNA, other than Tompkins and Adamson.
But where did Stuart
yeah,
tell
but that
us
actually
where?
came
Tell
from,
us.
that was my grandfather's cattle brand outside of Anson, Texas, just north of
The
Abilene.
Flyin A for the Adamsons.
And actually, we were trying to figure out
A name.
a name, and I had my dad's teenage boots, which have a Flyin A in them, up on our mantle. And it's like, well, let's just go with that. It came with a logo, has a story behind it.
And there's one more story associated.
Oh,
With Flyin
Oh, that story.
Yeah.
I try to forget that
When
story.
we got married, I decided to be alternative and took his last name, Hilary Claire Adamson. And then when we became the Flyin A's, things were going well. We were lucky enough to be a part of a documentary for 3 years called Folk that premiered at the Nashville Film Fest, but also at Kerrville. And we had reached a level we were touring internationally. And so it's kind of a business decision. You wait until it's time, and then you trademark your name and this and that. Well, we trademarked the Flyin A cattle brand for our band name, and only they send it out to the world, and they say, okay, does anyone protest this? The only people who protested it were the Oakland A's because they felt like they owned the first letter of the alphabet.
And there are A's, there's sports A's everywhere.
Oh,
there
yeah.
are A's
Anyway,
everywhere.
So 4 years later, and a lot of elbow grease and
It was frustrating.
lawyers'
but-
fees, we settled out of court, and guess what? They don't own the first letter of the alphabet after all.
One of the
Share it. We can
one of
share
the
it.
weird stipulations is we're not allowed to sing the national anthem at a Major League baseball
Baseball
game
game.
Unless
without
we're-
being invited. And I didn't know you could do it without being invited, or I would have done it a long time ago. That just seems, this is ridiculous. Of course you're not going to do it without being invited.
And I had the idea of like asking to sing the national anthem at an Oakland A's game, but then try to sing it without any A's involved. Oh, see, can you see? Anyway, I didn't do it. Darn it. That would have been a good YouTube video.